Oh my goodness. Anyway, for those of you who follow me, right, you know when I'm laughing, it's amable gist. It's not serious gist per se. So it's just those funny things that you like. Because in this Nigeria, let me be very factual with you. If you don't laugh at certain things, it's our form of coping mechanism. If you don't, you probably are going to go crazy because there are a lot of things that just the way they keep hitting at you back to back to back to back to back. If you really are not very careful about your mental health and just sometimes just taking care of yourself, it can really affect one. But anyway, hey, they say Tinubu doesn't sleep until 2 a.m. and that he works really hard. So the question I have is that why he's always sleeping on duty when he goes, especially when he's on international events and all of that? The spokesperson to Tinubu, Ajuri Ngelali, has described Bola Tinubu as a workaholic who gives his best to the nation. He did this. He had an interview with Chude. Please, you can go watch it on his channel. On with Chude. I think the channel is Achude Jidonwu, right? Achude. Uh oh Lord have mercy, Nigeria, Nigeria, my country. It says, in a chat with on-air personality Chude Jidonwu, Ngelale said Tinubu wakes up early every day, does not go to bed until 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. He appealed to Nigerians to show support to Tinubu. He said, I'm saying hang in there because I can see an end to this. I'm working with a man who I can personally vouch for because he's going to bed at 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. every night, including Sundays. Tinubu wakes up at 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. So even if you say he sleeps um, 2 a.m. and he wakes up 7 a.m., that's like 5 hours sleep. Or do old people need those kind of sleep? Because I thought the older you get, the less sleep you get. For him to even be sleeping. Oh Lord, that was how before the election. The current youth leader did a video and said that he doesn't sleep. He doesn't sleep, but then he goes to places, he goes to events, and then he ends up the time just sleeping there. Ah, propaganda, propaganda, propaganda. But unfortunately, propaganda doesn't give good governance. Propaganda is not going to put food on the table of many people who are dying of hunger. Propaganda is not protecting children from being abducted from their school. Propaganda also is not protecting women and children who have gone to look for water that they will use from being abducted by terrorists. Propaganda is not going to create jobs. Propaganda is not going to fix road. Propaganda is not going to fix the electricity situation. Propaganda is not going to take care of the healthcare crisis. Propaganda is not going to mitigate against healthcare workers who are leaving the country. Neither will propaganda, increase the GDP of the economy or solve insecurity or ensure that farmers are able to farm and they don't pay taxes to terrorists. I think APC is so used to propaganda that they don't even know when to stop. People are going through so much. Whether he's sleeping or he's not sleeping, it's not the reason why there's no reduction in the cost of governance. There are a lot of monies are being wasted on things that it shouldn't be wasted on. The recent trip that Tinubu did to Qatar, of what use is it to the country, and at what expense was it to the country? The number of people he went with, and a whole lot of different things where the the cost of governance could have been reduced, but it hasn't been reduced. The Orosanyas report, where is it right now? That was some diversion. Is that always that propaganda? What can they use to divert people's attention? What can they use to take things away? But they forget that at the end of the day, uh, this propaganda will not help you in any way when it comes to governance. You might use it during campaigns to be able to sway people, especially people who are not that educated, who are not that discerning, who cannot who and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, who cannot really think for themselves, because this education that we take for granted, honestly, it's such a huge privilege that we had to be educated. And there are a lot of people who have not had that privilege, who didn't have that privilege to be educated. And I always say to people, the education that we have is not for us alone, it's for millions, it's also for millions of other Nigerians who didn't have the opportunity, to be educated. And so propaganda can be used to sway a lot of them, but when it comes to governance, the case is different, because they can physically feel it. I mean, if somebody are you going to be telling someone who hasn't eaten that he's not hungry? He can feel the hunger pangs. He can feel what he's going through. So it's not something that you can do. So all of this talk about Tinubu not sleeping, Tinubu this, Tinubu that, that's just bladderdash. Honestly, that's not what concerns the average Nigerian who is unable to eat. That's not what concerns the average Nigerian who doesn't have a job. That's not. Oh, Lord have mercy. It doesn't concern the average Nigerian who is trying to get health care, or who has a child that is sick in the hospital, one thing or the other. At the end of the day, honestly, people must matter. And then for people to matter, you must care. And sadly, whether we like it or not, the reality that we have on ground is that APC doesn't care. Neither does Tinubu's legitimate government. And all they're thinking about is how they can focus on themselves and do what they feel like doing, irrespective of what's happening to the rest of the people out there. It's really sad that this is the situation that Nigeria is right now. But anyway, you heard what they said. Oh, they say now Mr. Tinubu no dey sleep for night. Maybe na only make when he comot for where he go dey do event, na there he dey catch him own sleep.